happened? What'd you do?
Hello.
Hold on. The chat's missing. Where is it? Where is
No,
the
I
chat?
hit refresh chat.
Yeah, and it didn't come back.
Well, I
There
don't know.
it is.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Oh, you need to sign into it. Okay, no big
Well,
deal.
it says so we can chat back, but we saw what
Oh,
she said. It said
yeah,
that
yeah.
last time.
Good deal.
Welcome
Hello.
to another episode of The Purple Pill.
The purple pill.
Today's question of the day. Can you be friends and remain friends with an abusive, cheating, man? Like if he hits his wife and cheats on her.
Did it specify gender or did it say person?
Okay, well, in the question, you're a man, so you're probably going to be, we've already discussed, you'll probably be a friend with a man. So,
Oh, you're asking me, not the audience.
well, we are asking the audience, could you be friends with an abusive? Why does it look like I have a unibrow?
What?
Okay, it doesn't now. It was just a little shadow.
Oh.
It's fine. I'm like, I definitely don't have one. Oh my gosh. Anyways, back to the question of the day. Could you be friends with an abusive, cheating person?
I'll start us off. And with that, I could not. Here's the truth. I'm a big believer in social circles. And as you develop and grow, you are going to shed your social circles like a snake sheds its skin. As such, if you are keeping people around that inhibit these, that inhabit these traits, it is going to reflect on you, even if you're not the one doing them, because you're in association with that individual. And so then it is only natural for somebody to question your character based on the people that you keep.
That's fair. I'm gonna say it depends. It depends. So two questions that two things that are gonna pop out here at me that, can you keep friends who have a lifestyle and do things that you don't agree with? If the man is only friends with other women beaters and cheaters, he's going to continue to stay that way. Okay. Now I don't agree with being friends with someone in a way where it brings you down. Okay. Like if you have a negative person, they say you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? So in what sense does that put you there? Right. So there's that aspect of it. So I'm not saying like that necessarily should be like your best friend or somebody that runs with your top 5 of people, but can you be friends with them? You have other circles of friends. Okay. I have a circle here and then my circles grow and then grow. And then, so I have like circles and circles. Okay. It looks like a target board. Okay. So in that sense, yes, there's this pastor guy. I don't know what his name is, but I always see him on my feed and stuff. And he's always up there, talking about the Lord, and people want to say, well, the Bible says, and he's like, well, actually, where does the Bible say that? Or the Bible says, whatever, or actually, this, and he'll break it down and everything, and he'll ask questions back, and it's good. And one person said, could you be friends with a racist? And he said, absolutely. Because if I'm not his friend and I'm not there to tell him that he's wrong, then who else is going to do it?
That's an interesting place to be in.
I do think there are levels. There are exceptions. Pedophile, never. I might murder them. Okay, just saying. Like, wood chippers. I might not even wait for one to go on sale. You know what I'm saying? Like let's just say. So there are certain people that I wouldn't. The answer is no. Okay, there are levels again to it, but another thing that pops in the head is Daryl Davis. Do you know who Daryl Davis is? Daryl Davis is a black man who got the robe, and he walks around with this robe of a KKK member, Grand Master, Grand Dragon, whatever they're called, like the highest person. So what happened with Daryl Davis was he went in to interview this KKK member, and I think it took him 20 years. He befriended this guy. I get to the point where Daryl Davis, you know who I'm talking about? Yeah. So he wrote a book on it.
Yep.
So then Daryl Davis, it got to the point where he's going through interviews and the guy keeps interviewing him and stuff. And he's like, hey, can you pick up my daughter from school? Nobody else can. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. So he's doing things because the other people who are supposed to be his friends, these other KKK members, would not do it. So he befriended this guy. Now they became best friends eventually. And he's like, I can't believe in this stuff because you're my best friend. Like, you know what I'm saying? So the thing is that a friendship and love to a certain level, I think, can break cycles. Okay. Especially when you're showing love at an aspect that these people, when people are abusive, they probably were abused, and that's the love that they know. So they have to unlearn love. And how are they going to unlearn love if you don't have those type of people around you? Now, again, I also agree if all your friends are abusers and cheaters, then that's probably going to be, your wheelhouse of people or whatever the case is, and that will rub off on you. But I do think that if people have a very negative aspect, that you need to keep them at a distance. But I don't think not being their friend is the answer. It's like, okay, I love the Lord, right? I love Jesus. Let's say you don't, okay? You love Jesus. I more have studied the word and all that stuff, so I might have more knowledge, and hopefully it's lived out in wisdom than you do, okay? And in the sense that, I'm maturity, I'm eating steak, you're drinking the milk, the honey in the milk right now, right? But let's say that you don't believe in Jesus, you don't believe in the Lord. If you're only around other people that don't believe in the Lord, I mean, a stranger could tell you. But like, if you don't believe in the Lord, then, and I do, and I say, well, he don't believe in Jesus, so I can't be his friend. I'm
fair.
That's weird, and so I do think, again, I think there's levels, because there are people like legit, like children abusers of any kind, physical, SA, whatever. That's a whole nother story. Correct. They deserve, death is not even good enough for them. Okay, let's just be honest. Okay.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is there any way that you can open a window? There's a smell permeating.
Yeah, I'm actually
bothering me.
You know what?
Badly.
Hold on. We'll do. Because I smell too. Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, we're live right now. Say something.
So I think she absolutely. I think she's absolutely onto something, and in that example, I would have to agree with that.
I thought it was normal, Sinus.
No, it's not normal. It's not supposed to smell like this. You're supposed to be outside.
And with that,
So.
I guess when you put it that way, I wouldn't necessarily not be their friend off the bat. I would say that it'd be fair to at least say, hey, if you're doing this, I can't associate with you unless you change your ways.
That's fair. That's fair.
Give them a chance. I after you explain it that way, I think it is fair to at least say, hey, I see that you're doing something that I don't agree with.
Right.
And I can't associate with you if you continue.
And then you put perimeters on your friendship. You put boundaries. That's when boundaries are really good, right? The boundaries are good to have in place. The boundaries of, we can hang out. Okay, for me, right? Let's say I have a woman who's abusing a man, right? Okay. Hey, I don't like the way you treat your husband. It's not for me, but if you want to hang out with me, even when I'm hanging out with the girls from church, or it don't necessarily have to be a Bible study. Maybe it's a girls' game night. We do that, Right. If you want to come hang around me in these circles, because at that point, it's not just me and them. It's not just me pushing on them, but it's something that we can try to do, together. And then, of course, pray for them and things like that. Right. So I think that, but I guess that's a good thing. What if it's your best friend? Do you have a best friend that you've had since you were like?
Yes.
Okay, what's their name?
What?
Okay, give them a name.
Josh.
Okay, so Josh.
Yep.
Josh, let's say you've known Josh since you were in middle school.
Yeah, we actually have.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, let's say you find out Josh is abusing his wife. Would you stop being friends with him? How would you deal with that? That's your best friend.
Find out.
Yeah.
Right. First I have to address the issue. Hey, is this true? Okay. Why are you doing this? What caused it? What's the situation that's bringing you to this? Mm-hmm. Is there a better way to handle it?
I mean, there's always a better way.
Well,
I guess unless
internally.
she's. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, unless
'cause-
she's attacking him.
Right. Yeah. No. It's going to be.
Unpopular opinion.
Mm-hmm.
If a woman hits a man, she, not saying she deserves, but she needs to be prepared to be hit like a man.
Right.
Like, you can't hit somebody and expect not to get hit back just because you're weaker. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. That's not how real fights
Correct.
work. Like, if you fight the same sex, right? You don't
No.
expect. So
Equal
you can't.
equal rights means
Equal
lefts.
fights. Oh,
Yeah.
what did you say?
Equal rights means equal lefts.
Oh, see, equal rights mean equal fights.
That too.
So, just saying. And I don't believe in equal rights, but go ahead.
Yes. No. I mean, there's questions that must be asked first, followed by some mediation and follow through, right, to make sure that things are being implemented and followed, or are maintained. Other words, yeah, you cannot continue down, because if we're best friends, we're hanging out. So then if I'm seen with that person, then it's like, do I do that too? Right.
Right.
But again, also given the content that I produce and what I'm about, back to your Jesus reference, I have the capability to create a course correction.
And isn't that like your audience of people anyway? And I'm not saying your audience of people is abusive and cheaters, but I'm saying, like, isn't your audience of people broken men?
That's the idea. Yep.
Like,
Broken,
so,
abandoned, or lacking self-esteem.
yeah. So if your audience is broken men, how many of them do you think are abusive or cheat because they think that that's what it means to be a man, because
So-
they're,
Broken has levels to it, and with that, the men that I deal with are broken without abundance. You can be broken with abundance, and that's where you see they cheat, or they're womanizers and stuff like that, right? Or as that one black guy said, homemakers. But the other side of it that I deal with are the opposite, where you're
Okay.
broken and you have nothing, you have nobody, no self-belief. So then you don't manifest abundance.
Right.
It's easy for, thank you. Fed,
Great discussion. Thank you.
yeah.
Oh, we love you too. Look at that. Maybe unpopular, but I was raised the same. Yeah, if you put your hands on him, yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, again, guys, like, the people that I deal with are not able to, nice.
Always loyal with my friends. Yeah.
So yeah, well, I mean, like, it's there's levels.
Okay, but real quick, would you be loyal? But would you be loyal to a friend when you found out that they were like a womanizer, abuser, cheater to their spouse, to their partner?
Yeah.
Would you still be loyal to them?
If they're putting their hands and initiating it, right?
But I think that that's also like another level of loyalty too.
Oh, yeah.
Because if I'm loyal to you, then I also need to tell you where you're wrong.
That's fair.
And I think that we don't do that enough, because you have your friends that will just have your back no matter what. Now,
Right.
okay, I get like your bestie, okay, but then when your bestie's like really wrong,
Yeah.
you'll say something. Now, although it's like, okay, let's say you're my bestie. Okay, let's say you and Aaron are here, and let's say you totally did her wrong, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but she wasn't really doing, I'm gonna have your back, but then at the same time, I'll be like, yeah, but you was wrong though, right? Like, I get it, but like,
Well, and we should have that. But
Yeah.
what I find, and I, I think you guys will maybe you can piggyback on this as well. There are echo chambers within the friend groups. So then there is no accountability, because essentially it's a rally of
echoing,
Yeah.
saying the same thing that you're saying just because you guys are friends.
correct. Oh yeah, you're in the
And
right.
it's, right, and it's like, at what level?
For instance, there's a God, it's so weird how we talk about stuff that I just saw videos on. So I was watching a video on, I want to say it might have been YouTube shorts, and a guy was covering a conversation that was being recorded of women at lunch talking about how essentially she beats her man, and then the girl next to her is saying, yeah, you have to train them like dogs. Da 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 da, and they're laughing and carrying on. And he stopped it there and was like, now if this was a group of men talking about women, they'd instantly be canceled.
I'm laughing because in a way, I think both people in a relationship need to be trained like dogs. And I say this because in general, we just as human beings, as creatures, as Homo sapiens, whatever, are like designed to push boundaries. And I will push them and you will push them, male or female. We both push boundaries. Children push boundaries, and we continue to push boundaries as we get older. We don't realize it. Kids don't push boundaries because they're like, I'm going to push the buttons today. They push boundaries subconsciously to see how far that they can get. And that is what we do in relationships with people. And if you let me get away with something, I will do it more and more. Correct. Not because I'm trying to hurt you or trying to do it. But okay, I was a woman who once put hands on a man. I won't do it now. And it started with somebody not allowing me to do that.
Right.
Okay, like honestly, that's what it started with. Somebody who was like, all right, walked away and didn't speak to me for 2 days. And I was like, what? So I'm wrong? How could I be wrong? I'm a woman. Women are never wrong.
Lord help us.
Okay.
No, but here's the thing. What you just said there is profound, but I would have to disagree slightly as an adult, which is I don't believe adults push boundaries like a kid does. I think a kid or adolescent,
not in the same way, but yeah, we continue to push boundaries. We learn better
depending.
Okay, so
like in a relationship, I would doubt that. I don't push boundaries in a relationship. In a relationship, I'm very straightforward.
No, you do.
How?
You don't know that you do, but you do. And it can be somewhere between the conversation that you have with someone. There might be a certain conversation you're not going to have with someone. Because as you get to know them, okay, let's say you are more conservative in your worldviews and more liberal, I think, in your love views. Okay. Nice job. So I think
studio audience.
He's like, so I think like, you know, like where you are with like taxes and government programs and stuff, you're more like we should have less taxes, less government oversight programs, less government oversight, where liberals would want more of that, right? Like in their worldviews. But then in your relationships, you're more like, okay, yeah, you know, I don't necessarily have to be married. I could do the poly thing. I could do this. You're more liberal, where conservative is more like me, like marriage, you know, whatever, right? So if you were with someone who is more liberal in their worldviews, and you knew that that was a trigger because they showed you that, because you said, well, what do you think about Trump? Oh my gosh. What do you think about Biden? Oh, he's the greatest. Oh, you know, or you say something like, well, you know, the only two people that we can, you know, it's so weird that we're voting for the same two people that we were voting for, you know, last election. Well, oh my gosh, Trump is just, you would already know, because their attitude would have been a quick switch. And I'm not saying that you don't have far right people, but lefties are more the people that are going to act outrageous.
100%.
So you already know that there's topics. You've already tested that. Then that's a boundary that you have to put in place, because you don't want to deal with that person's reaction. So
I wouldn't push that. It's the only thing.
Right. But I'm saying like you test it because, okay, so that's a touchy subject, right? There are people, I'd say in general, and maybe you don't do this, but you kind of talk to them a little bit. You see how they look and you say, okay, this might not be something that I can talk to them about. Let me just bring up something casual, you know, like
the weather.
The weather, but something like, let me just bring up something more casual. Like, can you believe like in a way to know, can you believe that we're running the same two candidates we were running 4 years ago? They're going to tell you who they are, but you didn't say anything about what you believe. Okay, so
you're not saying the trigger words.
So what I'm saying is you push the boundaries in certain areas, even unconsciously, and I think that's a good example of something we kind of recently talked about a little bit, but didn't really happen the way I'm talking about it. But you know, I'm just saying, like, where we, you know, you're still pushing boundaries with people to see how far you can go. And if you were to get angry with someone, and I know that you're in general, you're a very well composition. Your composure. There you go. Very well composed man. And so that wouldn't be you, but if you were somebody who got really angry, in that moment, you would push a boundary to see if you could unconsciously. So people who have anger problems, you will sit here, maybe you start yelling, like you call her out out her name. Who you talking to? You know what I'm saying? Okay, at that point, excuse me? Who are you talking to? And then she just she says, you know what? And she walks away from you.
Yeah.
She doesn't even engage with you. You know that you can't act that way. You cannot throw a tantrum now because she is not going to allow it. Just like if I do with you. If I raise my voice at you, like let's say you were late. Oh, I can't believe you were late. Da da da. Excuse me? It was an accident. I couldn't get around. Yeah, but da da. Okay. And you walk away? I know I can't act that way with you. I just pushed your boundary to see how far I could go because I was angry. It wasn't consciously, but it's subconsciously.
Okay.
So as adults, we still will push boundaries with people.
Okay.
And I think that abusive situations, the reason why men will continue to be abusive isn't because they in general just find someone and if the one time that they hit a woman every time she left him, he would stop doing that. He would. Or she hit him back, he would. The thing is that they accept it for so long. And this goes for men too. Men who get abused by women. They accept it for so long and then they get with someone who is much like the other person. Narcissists do the same thing over and over. And they carry this person out and this abusive thing out because as women, because as people, it does have to do with the influx and all that stuff. But we get addicted kind of to the roller coaster, but we're like, but there's so much good because he did this good thing in the beginning.
Right.
And so we do, oh, but he was good then. Okay, I can see, even though he's not now. It's a pattern though. And if we don't recognize those patterns or we don't walk away from those patterns,
Right.
we are allowing abuse. And the more we do this, not get like the first or second victim of them, but after that, you look at a narcissist who has 5 kids. You know what I'm saying? He did that because the women keep allowing that. But women do that. Women are like that too.
Right.
A narcissistic woman who she might have 3 kids and, 2 baby daddies maybe, because she was able to have 2 with whatever and then move on and he stayed with her for the kids. Things like that happen. So with women, you see a pattern just a little bit differently. But the reason why people are able to remain abusive is because nobody stopped them. And typically... Right. The one being like, you can stop your bully. You know what I'm saying? Like it happened all the time. Like when you stand up to your bully, you don't even have to physically fight them. When you stand up, I don't know if you ever had a bully.
I had a graduating class.
Wait, what does that mean?
Being from Leawood, Kansas, and going to a predominantly black school, I had a graduating class that hated my guts. And they gave me a hard time.
Okay, well, that's kind of...
So me standing up to my bully was wearing a trench coat in 9th grade with military fatigues, giving off the impression that something was going to happen to the school. Never said anything. I was quiet the whole entire day. I wore sunglasses. I got pulled out of class. The principal checked my locker to make sure there was no weapons. And everybody freaked out. The gangster kids were extremely apologetic, and it worked.
My brother went to Central. My brother's like a nerd. He's really like he, I don't know how, but he survived because the funny thing is, well, it's funny you say, you went to school because the black kids didn't bully him. They'd be like, nah, anybody that would, they'd be like, nah, leave Robert alone. Like they would stand up because they're like, nah, we ain't having him come up in here and do nothing. Like, because they react differently. But what I'm saying about you can stop your bully, like there's so many, and every once in a while you really can't. Okay, there are times where you can't, especially if it's a group of them. But if you have one bully, okay, let me be a little more specific. Of course, gangs of people, the mob effect is real, and that's much harder to do. Okay, so please let me get that out there. But if you have one bully, when you start, especially if you take what they give you. And they're like, oh, you're ugly. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Like, or you get smart, how to say things back or what if you get witty.
Quick, yeah.
But even if you just take it and you just don't give them the reaction they want,
right,
they're going to move on. Now, it's different if your bully is abusive and you're at school and
it's physical, right?
And the teachers aren't doing anything.
Oh, and they can't now.
You can't do anything, and you can't do anything because you're too small, maybe, or something.
Right.
I mean, I get it, I guess. So there are situations now. If you're in a in a relationship, like there was just this video where this woman, he asked her to marry him, and he's like, it's so crazy because he's like, oh, I'm taking you back here for the fourth time or something like that, and I guess somebody had commented on it and said, look, I know her. He's been abusive. He cheated. Now, don't get me wrong. She ain't been perfect either, but he's cheated on her. He whatever. But she's like 37, about to be 38. She wants a family. And so she's been with him for so long. She just said yes because she wants a family and she's been with him and she don't think she can have somebody else. But he's put her through so much. It's like, again, if she would have walked away, and if he would have got with someone else, she walked away. Got with someone else, she walked away. Be like, all right, I got to change something I'm doing, or be more slick about the way I'm abusing people.
Right.
And her friend said he was physical too, physical, emotional, abusive, and she just said yes because she just, but she wasn't happy. It's very clear.
Right.
And so it's like, you look at that kind of stuff and you're like, okay, but again, if you stand up, I mean, walk away. Don't give them that satisfaction.
It's so hard to maintain.
They said that conversation's helpful so far.
Nice.
It's nice.
So thank you. It's very hard to set boundaries and even maintain them, especially when there's a lack of self-belief. And I'm speaking from experience. Again, I didn't step into my masculinity until 2022. I just recently became this guy that can be on this podcast and communicate effectively, wholeheartedly, authentically, the whole nine yards, not hold back. There is and I'll always repeat myself on this thing. There is an internal process that's got to take place.
Yeah, 100%.
Or else you will always find these cycles. Life, that which you resist persists, right? So if you're avoiding, situations, people, especially relationally speaking, it will persist until you address it. But the addressing of it starts internally first, because what is it about me that thinks this is okay? Like that's the real question.
And that's what you would have to make your abusive or cheating or whatever friend think. Let's see. What's funny is that so the mob, I don't know how they function now, but historically, the mafia.
Okay.
They might be different, but they're the same thing in this sense because they reacted the same way. They're both Italian, so I don't know if it's a difference or not.
I thought mob was short for mafia.
I mean, I think it's the same.
Okay.
But I'm just saying if it's not, I don't know that. Okay. That's what I'm saying. I think it's the same. I mean, mobsters, mafia. I don't know. Okay, just in case it's not, don't come for me, Italians, okay? I'm Irish. They hated me more. So, but what they used to do, like, historically, why did they hate us more? Are you saying yes?
I know that.
Oh yeah. So, Irish were less than. Irish were the black of white people.
Yeah.
And people who know this, like, this is not me saying this. This has been said multiple times over to give you the example of how much they hated Irish people. Free black people were treated better than Irish people during like slave times. So I'm just saying, like, that's how much they hated Irish people. Anyways, but mobsters, that has nothing to do with our topic, by the way. I was just being funny, and of course I went left. Let's go back right. So
You
the
got
mob.
off topic?
I know. How dare
is
I?
that
I
possible?
never get off topic. Anyways, back on topic, because that's what I do, is steer the topic back. So what they used to do is actually they would either, depending on the family, if a man cheated on his wife, they would either excommunicate him or kill him or beat him up. Like, there were different reactions to that, but you cannot, because out of everybody you cheat on the one person that has your back.
Right.
Like, the one person that has to be loyal to you, to, like, and that's why you'll find, even now you'll still find, like, the women in the mafia and stuff like that, they're extremely loyal. Like, as a whole, I'm not saying they're all perfect, but as a whole, you'll see, like, I mean, we were watching the mob family, whatever it was on TV. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, they were So, I mean, the guys were already in jail. The women were the wives or whatever, the mobsters and stuff, or they did time, whatever. Anyways, and even though they were like divorced, the women were still by their side when they were going through like cancer. And she knows what I'm talking about. And so, what was the name of that show? Okay, like maybe it was Mob Wives. Maybe that's what it was.
Okay, I've heard of Mob Wives. I've heard
and
of that.
so like they were still, there was one of them that was divorced and she was like still by like her ex-husband's side or whatever.
I've heard of them to be the true ride or die.
Yeah, like they were very loyal, and that's because I mean, loyalty is huge. And so, and you have to think, when you have that loyalty in a friend who didn't have that loyalty from their parents, because again, more than likely, if they're abusive, it is a generational thing that they were taught from their father being abusive to their mother, or their mother allowing other people to abuse her or whatever.
Right.
Maybe they were abusive to the kids. Maybe they just saw it with the mom. It varies. But more than likely, he's being abusive because that is what he was taught love to be. So, you know better as his friend. I think the only way you can learn love is by actually showing someone.
Absolutely. Like agape.
Yeah, and the way that I had to relearn love, like I learned who Jesus is. Okay? And by learning him and by looking and just reading through the gospels. Okay? Whether or not you believe that Jesus Christ is the deity of Christ, like even atheists who are like who have the like theology and all that other kind of stuff, they don't discredit the fact that Jesus was real. They try to fight on the fact of, was he born to a virgin? Is he the son of God? And is he God manifest in the flesh? That is their aspects. Their aspects are not discrediting what the Bible said happened.
Right.
So when people be like, Jesus isn't real, no, everybody collectively agrees that Jesus is real worldwide. Jesus is talked about in other religions. Jesus Christ was a real man. The question is he a miracle baby who did miracles? Is he the deity of Christ? Baby. Like, is he, do you believe in the deity of Christ versus, the fact that he is who he says that he is? Yes, I do 100%. So, but doing that, just reading through the Gospels and seeing how Jesus loved people, and he told the truth in love. There was a whore at the well. He was like, yo, you're a whore. She's like, what? He's like, yeah, you have 5 husbands. She's like, I ain't never been married. Clearly I'm paraphrasing, so please look up the parallel. That's not what it's called. Parable. Look up the parable of the woman at the well to know what I'm talking about. I'm clearly paraphrasing. But, he's like, yeah, you've had 5 husbands. She's like, what? No, he's like, even the one you're with right now is your husband. She's like, what? No, I'm just with somebody. Yeah, you've been married 5 times. She's like, oh my gosh. Because he wasn't like, hey, you dirty, nasty, stupid, ugly thing. He was like, hey, this is what it is. Like, you've been married 5 times. You're doing things you shouldn't be doing. And he came to her like from a loving place. And it's funny. A lot of people know me and they don't always like the way that I come forward. But then when they so many of my friends have come back circle in my life and say, you know what? There was a time where I didn't want you because I didn't want the way that you tell me things. And I didn't want you to tell me anything, but now I need you. I'm going to come talk to you about something. I need you to be honest with me. The only way that you can be honest, because they know that I come from a place of love. Right. And my truth is truth and love. So that's how Jesus Christ was. Jesus Christ was also very selfless in the things that he did, putting other people before himself. Jesus Christ also was not tolerant, which people keep pretending like he is. He was not tolerant. So much so, like, it actually specifies one story in particular, which is when he went into the temple. Oh, yeah. And he flips over stuff because he's like, this is not of God. This is not what you do in the house of God. So all these people that are making a mockery of the Lord right now, and you know what I'm talking about. We don't have to get into it in this episode, but that are making like a literal mockery of God. Like, God is they, them. No, God is he. Okay. God is being. Okay. But all the people who are talking about that, Jesus Christ would not be tolerant of that because out of all the things, you don't make a mockery of God. No. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what people fail to realize, I think, is that the mockeries that people make doesn't happen. Boundaries are crucial. Ensure your own emotional safety before continuing the friendship. Yeah, sometimes offering support and guidance can lead to positive change in the person who has caused harm. Ultimately, it's about balancing empathy with accountability and self-care in any relationship. I think all those are good. Yeah, that's self-care too. Yeah, I think that's
Self-care
good.
is huge. I mean,
It is.
like I said earlier, there is a internal narrative that has to take place when establishing boundaries. Hell, to understand somebody else's boundaries. If you don't have boundaries yourself, how can you understand theirs?
Okay, so what is self-care? You know, if you're going to have this self-care.
Well, now self-care is different than introspective understanding of oneself. To me, self-care is the maintenance of that inner dialogue and that inner
Okay.
that interpersonal development.
So self-care, you're saying,
Let's see here.
is
Let me see what they
forgiveness
said.
is a personal choice, but it's essential to consider the well-being of all involved. Forgiveness is a personal choice, and forgiveness only
Yeah,
applies
it's true.
to
It is a personal choice.
you and not really you.
Yeah, because truth be told, forgiveness, right? That you're poisoning yourself.
Let's go right back with that. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's talk about the self-care real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah, yeah.
So self-care, when you balance the self-care with the boundaries, question is, self-care, is that like me getting my feet and nails done, or is that like inner work? Like for me, it'd be, you know, spending time in the word, meditating,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. What is self-care?
See, that is a great question. And TikTok will have you think it's very superficial things. Oh, I'm going to take myself on a date and love myself today. Not that that's not necessary.
A lot of lonely people do that and still are lonely.
Correct. Yeah, no. Now, if you're here's the truth. It's intentionality. Before 2022, 2021, I had taken myself on several dates. I was going to LA. You know, I wanted in and out.
Yeah.
You know, cool. We're going on a trip. We're taking Spirit. We're going to in and out because I'm hungry.
Yep.
Right? Like, you know, but it was with the intention of telling myself, hey, you deserve this. You deserve to experience
So
this.
was that self-care or was that a lie?
Well, no, that was self-care out of the
Okay.
fact that I knew I was lacking in the self-belief department
Okay.
and recognizing first that I deserve love by loving myself.
Okay.
So I was a person that did love myself, context.
Okay.
So by going on those dates, it helped me learn how to love myself
Okay.
and treat myself well.
Okay.
Right.
That's
and
fair.
that, to me, that's a version of self-care. So self-care, if it is in the terminology that we might see on TikTok, nails or a massage. I took myself to get massages all the time. The happy endings didn't count, but when it was a regular massage, you know, that to me is a level of self-care.
I have so many questions, but we're going to go on.
Nope.
The happy endings didn't count?
But because that's, to me,
I don't have
that
questions,
is
really.
that is
I just had to
that's
address
separate. That is that's avoidance. That's a whole nother thing. But no, you know, getting massages, getting my feet done, reflexology. Huge believer in reflexology, especially the
That's
science
the
behind
feet,
it.
right?
Well, it's the feet and hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So you don't take your clothes off. You just like roll up your pants legs and stuff like that.
So those aren't happy endings.
No.
I'm kidding.
But you know, that intentionality would be the basis of that. What
Okay.
would make self-care, because how you're doing it. So, for instance, if I was like, "Hey, can I borrow your kitchen?" I just made it at my house. Well, I'll just use an example. I really want to make myself puppy chow. It's a childhood favorite. I'm just going through something right now. And yeah, sure. So
Yeah,
me
those
making
comforts.
puppy chow, right?
Yeah.
Could be a level of self-care because it's a deep desire
Yeah.
and it's an attachment to a positive memory of my childhood.
Right.
So it can look different for people, but this intentionality behind it that allows it to be effective self-care.
It's kind of like, you know, those really hard oatmeal cookies with the white icing that are really gross?
The oatmeal cream pies?
No, oatmeal cream pies are actually good. They're oatmeal cookies with white icing and they're hard.
Oh, those things? God, what were those called?
I don't know, but if I see them at the store, because I don't see them anymore ever, I buy them. And I will eat them.
Who was it? A Little Debbie product?
No, it's not Little Debbie.
I know it was at the school. It was a school option.
Okay, I don't. I think you're still thinking about oatmeal cream pies.
No. It's had the hard frosting on top.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you
Okay.
broke it and it was like a.
So my grandma had those. Those are the only cookies she had in her cookie jar all the time. God. So for me, like you said, childhood memory. So that is a level of self-care because I am loving. I do not really enjoy eating them, but it brings me joy to eat them. It's so weird. It's like
Respect.
Andy's mints do the same thing and chocolate covered cherries. I prefer the kind that don't have the white cream in them, but sometimes those are the only ones.
Uh,
Queen Anne's is the best. Yeah, Queen Anne's chocolate covered cherries is the best. She knows. And the other kind you usually find around, Christmas. Queen Anne's, you for some reason disappear at Christmas and appear at Valentine's Day. And so in Christmas time, you end up getting the ones with the cream. Regardless, I always get them because that's like my mom's thing, and like now my daughters love them. They're like, oh my gosh, Mom, can you get me some? Or they'll eat all of them, and so I don't want them to eat them all. So, okay, so.
And you know what? I'm going to throw this out there just as an extra because oftentimes self-care is focused on a self. Self-care can also manifest in doing something for somebody else. So
How so?
So, glad you asked.
Thank you.
Self-care can look differently when talking. No, I'm joking.
I thought you were getting into them like
No. So when doing for others, I imagine one of my biggest goals is to bless a family at a Walmart. Just a single mom. She's got a cart full of toys because she's got 3 kids, whatever. And just come by and say, boom, $1,000, boom, take care of it, disappear, walk away, right? So doing something for somebody else out of the abundance of, hey, when I grew up, my mom didn't have anything. Let me bless a mom in retrospect, almost like you're going back in time, like wishing that you could bless your own mom essentially, but you're blessing another mom,
Yeah.
single mom home. So, that can be a level of self-care because of what it does for you and being able to operate in abundance for somebody lacking.
Okay.
And again, it's intentionality because some people would argue, well, oh, you're doing this to be braggadocious or no. Because the intent behind it is what the attachment is, which is my mom struggled, right? So when we left Leewood, right? So like
So
that.
you don't want to see other moms struggle. Your mom's good now.
And
but-
and again, the narrative is, bless the mom, or maybe it's a family at a restaurant, right? And just say,
Right.
hey, I'm taking care of that. And I've done this, hey, that person over there, I'll put
You
their,
don't
give me
take
the
care
bill.
of my meal.
We
That's a lie.
have yet to. Wait, hold
That's a
up.
lie.
Okay, that's right. Okay. Anyways, I was like, we haven't even been out to eat yet. What are you talking about?
We have, and that's a lie.
So, so like being able to do that, and again, no credit, nothing like that. There's something that it does for you that can help you. So, yeah,
Okay.
context and
So-
intention.
So let's say that you have your abusive friend that you decided you could stay friends with now after our conversation. You're like, okay, I guess I can stay friends with Josh. Okay, I don't even know if that's his real name or you just threw that out there, but that's fine. His name's Josh for the episode.
Yes.
So let's say you can stay friends with Josh now. How would you teach him self-love, self-care, inner work? Now that you decided you're going to be friends, what, like you said, first of all, you want to get to the root of it.
Right. Why is he being abusive? Why is he
And-
being cheating?
Maybe he doesn't have a root problem. She just makes me so mad. Right? She just triggers me.
Now, perfect. Right there. She just triggers me. And every single person watching this is going to know somebody that is easily triggered. What triggers are reflections of self or aspects of self that we don't like about ourselves. So when something triggers you, it can be due to the fact that, hey, this reminds me of something about me that makes me angry, right? So her not washing the dishes, right? It just triggers me so much. Why is that? Because I hate repeating myself. Well, why do you hate repeating yourself? And it turns into, when you keep asking the why, it turns out that I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel like I'm being ignored. So it goes back to something about yourself. And that's where that triggering can come from. So it's not, I don't mean to say it as in like invalidationally, I made that up, but in a way that it goes back to you and that there is something deep rooted, right, that you have not addressed about yourself. And so the universe, as an example, is allowing you to go through that lesson again through the experience of another human being or a relationship. But now, in addressing that, my first thing is, okay, you're doing these things, she pisses you off. Why does she piss you off? Because this. We get down to the bottom because I feel like I'm not being heard. Cool. Well, one, why do you feel like you're not being heard? Well, when I was younger, my younger brother got all the attention. Say Josh had a younger brother, he got all the attention. Okay, cool, boom. So you lack attention, and you need to be. So what we would do then is, go through internal exercises that you are enough. Because that's the first thing. I don't feel like I'm enough. I'm being ignored. Nobody sees me. I'm invisible. So you are enough. You do exist. You are valid, within yourself, within your existence. Because the moment that we're looking for our spouse or partner to validate us, we've lost it. As a man, at least, we've lost it. The man is to be the center, the pillar of the relationship. If anything, the woman gets validation from him by him choosing to create the relationship with her, because men are in charge of relationships.
So what if someone feels like they're enough as is, but then their partner somehow makes them feel like they're not? Is it a me problem or is it a you problem?
So the great question. And I can't necessarily answer that off the bat. It would have to be a conversation, because I would have to ask, in this example, what's happening that's making you not feel enough that the partner's doing. So if you feel enough for yourself, but the partner is doing something that makes you feel not enough, correct? That was the question?
Right.
So then my question is, what's the partner doing that's making you not feel enough? Because we have to have context to it. Is it something like really crucial, like I love you after you say I love you and they're not saying it back? Like, that's super weird.
That is weird.
And that would definitely be a questionable, that's a red flag, right? And so we have to ask these questions on what level is that what they're doing that is affecting you. Or is it something simple like, I didn't get a good morning text? It's like, okay.
Maybe you're being petty.
Correct. Yeah. Like you might need to be emotionally grow up a little bit, right? And again, I hold men to different
standards. That ain't petty, but I am.
Like I hold men to a different level.
So that's like a whole brand of clothing.
What?
God ain't petty, but I am.
Oh Lord, you have a sweatshirt that says that?
Yeah, but it's not. I wish that would be my clothing brand. It's not. It's another clothing brand.
Next episode, she's wearing it. Hey, look at all those 100s. That's amazing.
I know. We love you too. I'm first
Much
time
love,
listening,
guys.
But I continue. That'd be great.
Hey, that means a lot. So yes, that's where we have to ask these questions. And again, like I said before, I hold men to a different standard, because a man should not be as attached to a good morning text as a female might be. As I explained in I think it was the previous episode.
Sir.
What is he doing?
I'm sorry. My cat is acting a fool for a second. What are you? You okay, Dennis?
Anyways.
He's being such a menace.
He's so fluffy.
He's so fluffy.
So it's one of these days we'll have to do like one of those dual cameras so you can like.
I know.
Anyways, so like.
I forgot where we were.
Sorry.
I stopped listening because Dennis distracted me.
No, but for real, you guys, we have to, like, obviously a woman will be more attached to it. I was talking about the text, yeah. So like if it's a good morning text as a man, get over it, right? Like you shouldn't really have a bad day because your girl didn't text you good morning. Within our social dynamics as a species, right? Like, we're out cultivating, we're out getting it, we're out making things happen. We should be more focused on the kingdom establishment versus the in-betweens of what makes us feel good, right?
If Wesley doesn't text me good morning.
Oh my God. No, you didn't just bring up Wesley. Did you just bring up Wesley?
Okay, for those of you who don't know, which many of you don't, I have an imaginary boyfriend. But I know he's not real. Like, I'm not actually, like, I don't see dead people, okay? Like, but he will be here. I will make him appear here when I do the recording. So I have an imaginary boyfriend. He is everything I've made up of a man in my mind, and he's perfect. And one day I will have a real life Wesley.
If next time I see Wesley on her Snapchat, I'll save it, and I will hold it to the camera so that you guys can see this
live,
this man.
So you can see it live. You don't have to.
Yeah, so you can see it live.
I say, come watch this episode.
Ooh.
when I finally edit and put it out there.
Amen. Anyways, so Wesley. So yeah, when you are looking at these serious altercations within a relationship, and the person's not feeling like they're enough, the person is feeling like they're not being seen. These are serious questions that we have to begin to ask. What's the causation? If we treat Jacqueline Phoenix. So, well, he had a couple. So,
You're talking about Wesley? No, Wesley. So it's not Joaquin Phoenix. Wesley is The Princess Bride, which came out in like 80. I want to say 84, but then I feel like, yes, it is the greatest rom-com of all time because 80s rom-com is where it's at. It is a cinematic masterpiece. If you have not seen, yes, As You Wish.
by the way, it's not The Princess Diaries, which I thought.
No, it's The Princess Bride. Diaries
Yeah.
came out like 99 or 2000. Yes, it is The Princess Bride.
Yeah, so that's what
It is on Disney and Amazon, and you can find it everywhere. I have 2 DVDs of it,
DVDs.
just in case.
Hey, appreciate the love, guys. For real, for real.
Yes.
You guys are awesome. But these are real life topics, right? These are real situations that some of you guys might have encountered, that might know of friends, loved ones that are going through, right?
So, question for you guys watching. Respond in the comments. Could you be friends with someone that you knew was abusing their spouse and or cheating on their partner, spouse, whoever? Could you be friends with them? And if the answer is no, why couldn't you? And if the answer is yes, why could you?
Yeah. Oh, dare I say, why would you?
Why would you? You know, I have a friend. So I have a friend, and her name is Ashley. She kind of has some things that sometimes are just too much emotionally for me to handle. But she's a sweetheart. Okay. And one thing about her is like, she will tell you though, she'll say, if your man ever calls me and says you was with me and you wasn't, I'm not going to lie and say you were. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
Like, I don't think, because that's not the type of person she is.
Right.
And so again, we talked about boundaries, right? We know for her, that is a boundary. So if I was cheating, she would still be my friend. She would tell me that I'm wrong.
Yep.
And she would not lie for me. So that's not somebody who I can go to when I'm doing wrong, because she's going to be like, Janie, you know you're wrong. Like, what are you doing? So it's like, even again, as adults, we have boundaries, and the boundaries are set. And sometimes you don't even know that you need a boundary until you need the boundary.
Right.
Right.
Fair.
Like, why is my go-to, I need to have a boundary if you hit me, right? Or if you raise your hand. Hopefully that's not a go-to, because that says something about the relationships I've had with people. Right. But it's like, that's not something that I really need to put out there first. If you ever raise your hand at me,
right.
I'm gone. Why do I have to say that unless I've been through that over and over and over again?
So here's a great example. It's quite funny. Since you're Christian, we all know that there is the church hug. And
a little side hug.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so as or where you literally bend over like an extra 3 feet and you touch the shoulders.
Yeah.
But we know that the church hug, that could be your boundary, right? And then that one guy that's just like, hey, how's it going? Come here. And it's
fair.
very bearish,
Right.
and you're feeling his chesticles against you. That might be too much. And at that point, you would need to establish a boundary.
Right. And you'd have to say, hey, I'm kind of uncomfortable. And you might see him do that to everyone. So it might not just be you. And
Correct.
that just might be a him thing.
Yeah.
But for you, you need that boundary for him, because maybe you're not comfortable with
Right.
that, And it's like one thing I do. I mean, there are certain guys who I'll shoot a text to, or like whatever, like from church, where I'll shoot a text to and just be like, hey, like Nate, okay, Nate's somebody I would never ever be interested in. He's married to my friend Gladys. I've known Nate longer. I think I've been friends with Nate longer than Gladys.
Last night.
Yes. No. But like, I'll shoot him a text and nobody's worried about anything, right? But if something's gonna be like a long conversation or something like that, I will group text him and his wife. Just as a boundary, not because anything's going to happen. I don't think anything's going to happen. I know I'm not doing anything, but just because I wouldn't, also, he's probably going to talk to her about it. That's his wife. That's what you do when you have spouses. You talk to them about things. So might as well put her in, say, hey, I'm just going to loop you in on this at this point, because we're talking about something, just so you know what's going on. I mean, there are times, but just as like, I don't know, like a safety net, so that way they have nothing to worry about. And it's not even so much for me as it might be for them, or
It goes back to the respect thing that we talked about.
Yeah.
What, last week or so?
yeah.
You
If you want
know.
to know what respect we're talking about, you got to go back a few episodes.
Yes, that was a good episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's really what that is. You know.
Yeah.
It's you know what I would like to call it social respect. And it's a archetype of communication that is a level of awareness with that, right? So you can't. I mean, it's to us, unfortunately,
Right.
it's pretty standard, but for most in this society,
Yeah.
it's like, well, that's doing a lot. No, it's not. It's precautionary.
Right.
It's empathetic.
And then also, I think that it goes with, you never, kind of circling back to the topic, right? You never really know what's going on at home. And so when you do something like that, it's just a safety. It could be a safety net for them, because now they're not going to think anything. They can't jump to conclusions. They can't do any of that, because now they see openly what you guys are talking about in a group text. And then you have that level of trust, or they have that
Right.
level of trust, with whatever. And so it's also like, just one of those things, because you never know when somebody's actually insecure in their marriage.
Correct.
And they might just fight a lot. They might just pick fights a lot. You don't know if they might be abusive. You don't know if they might, you don't know those levels. And so it's just certain safety parameters that you might do, just not even really thinking like this could help them, but you just do it, and
Out of respect.
right. And it is weird, because it's like, when you think about abusive, some people don't believe you can have opposite sex friends, right? We've talked about this, right? And I know that you basically believe that. Okay, that doesn't really make sense. Okay, so like, you don't really believe in that, but somehow I've come into this world where me and you are just friends. And it wasn't because you're like friend zoned and
Co-op.
you're like hoping. Is that what you call it? Co-op?
Associates.
I reflect on any red flags you might have and learn from the experience. So yeah, it's like with that, you have some people who really don't believe in that at all, but then we've talked about reasons why you might have a friend. And I think that in the general world, like in the general population, that's not really much of a thing, right? It's not. There are very few exceptions to it, I think, but I think in general, it's not.
Yeah.
Being in a military world, and I think Aaron knows about this too, like, the thing is you just build these different bonds with people.
Yeah.
And I even had friends who was like, where I did that little test,
You
hey,
done that?
I want to, and they're like, as much as I may have wanted to in the past, I think it would ruin what we have.
Yeah.
And the way that I care about you, I wouldn't want to cross that line. And so then it's like, they're not just waiting for something. They're not waiting for you to
Right.
mess up.
Orbiters.
Right. They're not doing that. They genuinely care about me. And it's like, okay, cool. I could call my brother Day Day right now. We grew up together in the same house. Okay.
Yeah, that's family.
Yeah, it's
that's
family.
not even a friend.
And
You
so
know, and-
and people be like, but that's not your brother. It's like 100%.
Yeah, no, if
That's
you grew up in the
disgusting.
same
If
house.
I told him right now, he would be like, "Are you high?" That's probably he'd be like, "Are you drinking? Are you high? Did you have an edible? Are your little legs kicking? What's wrong with you?"
Little legs
Like, that's what it would be. I'd be like, no.
So like, yeah, no, in all fairness, you for sure you're a friend. I was so touched the last weekend. You called me Uncle Tokyo.
Oh, Uncle Tokyo. Oh, you was touched?
So, yeah, 'cause she's a little
She's like, oh.
adorable little person.
I was like, that makes sense. That makes the most sense. Uncle Tokyo.
Yeah.
Like, and she invited you to the party and everything.
Yeah, I'm so touched by that.
Yeah.
You just don't zoom in on me.
It should zoom in on you. Oh. No, I wanted to zoom in on you while you're fake crying. That's great.
See, whenever I don't want to be zoomed in on, just hide the face. Boom.
Great.
Oh man, it's funny.
When I make a point, you should do that. Then it can zoom in on me.
Wait, what happened? Evaluate the extent of the. Oh, okay. Oh, never.
Set clear boundaries moving forward. And things we've been talking about.
Okay, yeah, heck yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And I think boundaries are really important in the friends that you have to keep a distance with.
Mm-hmm.
So with those friends that might be abusive and, cheating and just have values that you don't have.
Yeah.
It's very okay to have friends like that, but they cannot, as someone who's negative, who always says, you say, well, why can't you just like drop it? But that's not right. Like, they did this to me, I deserve that. And when you say I deserve, that's a very dark place to be in. If you say I deserve, if you have that I deserve mentality, that alone, that puts you in such a dark place. I can tell you, I went through this really downward spiral because I was focused on what I deserve. And it was like, I was unhappy. I was like really in my depression. I was like really sulking in my depression. And it's like, all because I deserve to be treated better. I deserve to be loved more. I do deserve it. But at the same time, there's a lot of things I don't deserve and I still get too. So like what, you know.
It's an interesting place to be. And we find in most conversations, you see women talking in that narrative, but there are guys that speak like that too. What I would say is that guys speaking that way are speaking in a victim mentality, because to say you deserve is saying you expect a handout, and asking for a handout is not an aggressive approach, or it's not you taking control of your life and creating that which you deserve. So, I deserve that raise. Well, you could take action and earn the raise, which would be more of a masculine position to be in.
You can take action and just ask for a raise or apply for a new position.
That too, but you take action nonetheless.
Right,
yes,
right,
absolutely.
Right.
Versus just, okay, universe, I deserve. No, that doesn't work that way for us, know? So yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, I just think that the whole, setting the boundaries, especially for the people that are not aligned with your values.
Because you brought up something else that's really good.
What was that?
Like the friend that's like, drop it, So like, hey, I heard you're doing this, and that's not cool. That's none of your business. So that friend that actually pushes back on you trying to hold them accountable, at what then, right? I have an answer. I'm curious what yours is.
So if I tell my friend, hey, this is not right. Like, you need to. This is not you, or you shouldn't be doing this, or what's going on, like whatever. And they say, hey, mind your business. I'll be like, oh, you want me to mind my business? Okay. I mean, it kind of depends. So, okay, I'll tell you, I have a cousin named John. I'm putting him out there. I don't care. Him and his wife and 3 kids were staying with me. The only reason I let them stay with me is because they have 3 small kids. Okay. I wasn't there when it happened, but I saw her face. He hit her in my house. And I said, oh, you want to hit your wife in my house? And he was like, oh, just mind your business. You don't know. Excuse me. First of all, you are in my house. I ain't minded. That is my business. What happens under my roof where I pay bills is 100% my business. And if you want to hit a woman, hit me. We can go there. Do it. I wish you would. Matter of fact, I hope you please do it. Anyways, needless to say, they were not there much longer, and she wound up leaving him shortly thereafter. Which I mean, that's good for her, right? But no, you're not gonna sit here and tell me it's not my business, and that's family. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Nonetheless, this is not allowed, and y'all can't stay. I'm sorry, y'all can't stay here. No more kids or no kids, because you especially as the man don't get to do that in my house. This is my house. You might be the man, but you're not the man of my house,
right? Because
I have a man. Okay, he just happens to not be here. And if he was here, I guarantee you wouldn't be acting this way. But you want to do that? Let's do that. We could go that route. So it kind of, I guess it depends on who you are. Like, if you're going to tell me it's not my business. And then, or I'll react, oh, it's not? Okay. You going to hit me up and I'm going to be petty and be like, oh, you're going to be like, hey, that's none of my business. Hey, can I talk to you? That's none of my business. Remember, you said that's not my business. And at some point, you're going to want something to be my business, and we're going to circle back.
Right.
So
I like that.
So it just,
that's fair.
It really just depends. It's none of my business. Cool. When you want something, it's none of my business. We can go that way. We can go that route. That's cool. Just it kind of depends.
Yeah.
It depends on the situation. One thing is under my roof, and my roof is a.
Oh yeah. That's a.
Another thing is, let's say you were to hit her, okay. not you wouldn't dare do that in my presence. I already know that. Okay, like you wouldn't dare. But let's say she came with a black eye. She's like, oh, I fell against the wall. Excuse me, you tell me it's none of my business. Well, this show is back to me. We have no co-host. It's none of my business. You know what I'm saying? Let me decide what's none of my business.
Right.
If you're my friend, I get to decide what's none of my business. If you open your mouth or you do anything and show me any part of your world, you are my friend. That is my business. If you don't want it to be a part of my business, don't let anything come out around me, because now it's my business, because your business is my business, because you, as my friend, are my business.
Boom.
Yep.
I like it.
You know, what is your answer?
My answer is similar to yours, honestly, which is because of association. It is a direct correlation to who I am and how I am. And so, yes, I'm absolutely invested in the outcome, not only for your well-being, but the well-being of those in which you interacted, or, you know, that's your family
Right.
in this situation. So it's like, well, okay, first things first, I'm going to distance myself from that person.
Yeah.
Right. Because obviously we're not in alignment with, you know, our belief system.
Yeah.
We're not in alignment with how we conduct ourselves. So I'm going to distance myself from you.
Right.
You know, and let you do your thing, or, you know, whatever the case may be, and hope that at some point you begin to see, or it blows over, or something, you know. Right. But because at the end of the day, you care. It's not like you stop caring, but you do hope that they eventually see that by you essentially punishing them by distancing yourself or cutting off resources being available, that they begin to change their ways. Yeah. Kind of back to the previous episode where wait, was it the previous episode? Maybe it's just earlier. I don't know. But we were talking about
from a previous episode.
Maybe, yeah, that we were essentially talking about how if they're going to distance yourself as a way of abuse. I think it's this episode. I'm tripping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So essentially distancing yourself in a relationship when bad behavior is happening in order to correct it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And sometimes that's what you have to do, right? If they don't want to talk to you, then you distance yourself, and you have to do what you have to do, because at the end of the day, when you have someone like that, you do have to care for yourself enough to not let them engulf you in what they have going on. Yeah. And so I do agree. So at the end of the day, you could have a friend who doesn't have the same values as you, but you are definitely going to, in a way, push your values, especially when they're hurting other people. Right. Like that's, and I think that's the main situation. Like, it's like, okay, let's say, okay, me, I'm heterosexual. Okay, cool. Let's say you like men. Okay. You have just you and your husband. Let's say we talk about God, we might bring that up and say, you know, but one thing I'll say is that, you know, no one went to heaven for being straight. You don't go to hell for being gay. You go to hell because you don't believe in Jesus Christ. And after you believe in him, we can work on other things. But if you don't even believe in Jesus, it doesn't matter what you do. You could go to church every Sunday. You could serve the Lord. You still going to hell because you don't believe on Jesus Christ. Okay. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good of a person you are. It comes down to, do you believe on Jesus Christ? Now, after that, of course, you start acting on what you believe in, and things can change in people, right? They don't always change, but things can change. Okay. You don't meet Jesus and be the same person. No. Okay. But what level do you change? That's between you and God. I mean, not saying I wouldn't say anything, but what I'm saying is your values are not the same as mine in that case. That's fine. You're literally not hurting anyone. Right. Okay. In that situation. So me pushing my values on you is not, I wouldn't push them on you. Right. You know, now if you were hurting someone, you were doing something, you know, children stuff that I didn't like or anything crazy. Okay. At that point you're hurting people, and I'm not playing that game. Like we will. Now my values might get pushed on you, you know, and I'm just saying that in a way of, just because things aren't the same and we don't have the same values doesn't mean you're doing anything morally wrong in the world that we live in. Okay. And in that sense, Like for instance, okay, you have a different belief possibly in your lifestyle choices, right?
Yeah. Oh, there's heck. To keep it up to date in modern times, I identify as a toaster, right? Because I'm dark. So, maybe in that case, how I want you to address me as an appliance, not a human, I'm not hurting anybody. You don't believe in it, but
As long as you don't make me address you, as long as you can identify that way, but I'm not going to address you as a toaster. Okay. Toaster Tokyo. No.
Hey.
His toaster self. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That's
Toasted.
toasted.
Yeah. Yeah. See?
See? I'm not doing it. And see, that's when it would hurt other people, right? When you're just trying to force me.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
if I'm trying to force you, here's where I'm hurting other people.
Oh, I need to use your restroom, and I can't because there's no toaster sign on your restroom.
Yeah, but here's why I hurt people. I have Wesley.
Goddamn.
Right? Now, I'm going to make you see Wesley while I'm out. You're going to wonder how crazy I really am because you need to address my boyfriend who is right here.
Ooh.
Right here. Do you not see there is two of us? I'm paying for two people here. Take my money. Address me properly. Two. You know what I'm saying? But like, at what point am I making you agree in what I'm doing? And at that point, I'm also pushing my beliefs on you.
100%.
And I'm not trying to ever push my stuff on people. I want people to believe. Maybe I talk to them and they're like, wow, this really makes sense.
Yeah, offer a different perspective.
Let me look. Also, I don't believe in shoving things down people's throats. And if you don't even believe in what I believe in, me telling you what it means to do that, outside of me telling you that Jesus Christ loves you so much that he died for you, and that Jesus Christ, out of all the religions, out of all these religions, out of these world religions, out of all these religions, Jesus Christ is the only one that loved you first. Everyone else, you have to do stuff for them to love you. But Jesus Christ doesn't care what you did. Your past, present, and future, he loves you as you are. And that is the only thing I have to tell you. Outside of that, I don't have to tell you about how you live. I don't have to tell you about none of that because you don't even believe in Jesus. So why would you live to my standards? And so I think that that's what people fail to realize. If I don't believe what you believe, regardless if it's a religious view or worldview, let's say you do identify as a toaster. You forcing it down my throat, making me believe that. I don't. Like it's great. And you can tell me that you're a toaster. And I'd be like, okay, cool. And I can tell you that I'm a Christian. Right. And the moment that I tell you because I'm a Christian, you need to not say a cuss word. You need to not live with someone before you're married. You don't even believe in the way that I live. Why would I tell you that outside of me telling you Jesus Christ loved you so much that he died for you? 3 days later, he rose again. He is not dead. He is sitting on the right hand of God right now. He is the only man to conquer death, and he conquered death. He died for you and conquered death for you. All you have to do is believe on him. That's the beauty of Christ. That is it. Anything else, I'm wrong. I'm wrong if I tell you anything else. And in the way that I believe, because you don't believe in what I believe in. So why would I get?
And that's where Christians kind of get. That's where I'm just like, ugh, because they go the opposite. They talk about that after they condemn you. They scare you first, and then offer you treats.
Well, you're going to hell, and but Jesus Christ loved you, but you are going to hell because you live like a sinner. Sometimes I live like a sinner. I'm not perfect. I say cuss words sometimes. It's not perfect.
Well, you're in the military. What do you expect?
I was in the military. I work with all men. I do, whatever. And so it's like, I have drinks. I don't like to get drunk. So getting drunk and actually biblically being drunk is the sin, not having a drink. So you didn't even know. That's weird. So it's, you don't be drunk, because when you're drunk, you're filled with the wine, the spirit of wine, and not the Holy Spirit. But people drink wine and beer because it's what was clean. Depending on where you were, you can drink water. So you literally drank mead. Historically. Yeah, mead, right. And so with that, so it's like, I'm not perfect. But I definitely try to live my life in a service to others, in the sense of, Jesus Christ and whatever, but it doesn't mean I'm serving everybody either, because I'm one person. So, for me to have you live to my standards aren't even God's standards. If I'm being honest, I don't even live up to his standards. So why am I getting... Now, of course, if you believe on him and you want to know more, I'm more than happy to share. That's different, but we got way off topic. Anyways, so at the end of the day,
at the end of the day,
Just keep certain people at a distance.
you have to have boundaries
Yes.
for yourself in order to enforce them in your
On others.
relationships and in your friendships. Your standard of living will be reflected upon the people you keep and the standard of those people. So if you want to upgrade the way you live, you need to upgrade the people you keep around you. Or they should show a willingness to upgrade as well, because that's fun when you grow with your friends.
Yeah.
But the minute that your friends begin to become crabs and keep you in that bucket, it's time to cut them loose.
Amen. That is all.
Yes.